my daughter is. I hope things will go well, and I hope that all the other guests here are hearing us very well. We're very pleased to have you in this space, Simon. And what we would like to talk about is actually very specific. It's just a conversational type of space. Uh, since you were in Somaliland as a boy, we would like to get your impressions, the impressions that you had as a child in Somaliland at that time, and afterwards, the of course after you left and your family left somewhere else, um, back to the UK, perhaps, and maybe elsewhere. Then the kind of memories that you left with, and the kind of memories that your family left with, and what you remember, and what you had after that.
Yeah.
The beginning, you can introduce yourself. You can introduce yourself. We know you. Most Somalians know you from Twitter, but I think with that early experience of your childhood in Somaliland, the introduction will start from there. Your name, your family, what your father and mother were doing at the time, and then afterwards, when you left Somaliland, um, what other kinds of walks of life that, you and the rest of the family went through. And by the way, we wish your son well. Simon's son is not feeling well, and we hope all of us here wish your son to get well. Please, you can start your introduction.
Okay, thank you very much. I suppose the first thing to say is I'm very conscious that I was very young when I was in Somaliland. And it embarrasses me a little because I was 6, 7. I believe I left just before my 8th birthday. So my impressions and memories are those of a small child. It's probably worth saying also something about my background. My home in England was in an area that is about as different from Horn of Africa as anywhere could possibly be. It's very wet, very cool, very green. But I personally had almost no experience of this before I came to Somaliland. I was born in Accra, in Ghana. I then spent my first 18 months in Takaraji, also in Ghana. Then, before my second birthday, went back to England, and around my third birthday, went to Germany because my father had been posted there. And we stayed there for about 18 months, came back to England for 6 months, went to Somaliland, then went back to England, and then by October 1960, I was in Enugu in eastern Nigeria, where my father had been seconded to the Nigerian army. This is really just a way of saying that Somaliland was not strange to me because it was just where I was living. When you are just under 6 years old, everything is natural to me, to you. You arrive in a place, this is now your home, and that's absolutely fine. A child simply accepts it and just looks around and says, yes, fine. This is interesting. This is where I live. And
It's quite, it's
go
quite
on.
I mean, you become a cosmopolitan person at a very, very, very early age, moving around. Of course, that happens, to a lot of young people, to a lot of children whose uh, fathers, whose parents are usually international, civil servants, or serving their own governments, perhaps, and moving around a lot, and that gives them the resilience, and the perspective, to see the world in a wider way, rather than, as you said, in that very wet, British environment that you describe. Although you were
Yes.
born in Africa, and which is very interesting. You were born in Africa, in Ghana, in a hot country. But still, the memory associations of coming from Britain, and then moving around. What was, first, your, of course you were young, but then, there was a culture at the time, of course, the colonial culture, uh, which still lingers on in some way or the other, but which you are against, very much against it now. But what did you hear
I, I think this is the most difficult thing to talk about, but it's also the most necessary thing. I am very aware that I am in the very last generation of people, of British people, who actually experienced the British Empire. When I am dead, when people like me are dead, there will be nobody left who actually lived in a British colony or protectorate. And already in this country and in the West more generally, people are talking absolute nonsense about empire, what it meant, what it was all about, what it did, what it got right, what it got wrong. And it makes me very, very tired. The the truth is that even the very best of the Brits were there to do something wrong. We all know that, and I I'm very worried sometimes about appearing in any debates between Africans of any kind, because in the end you carry the baggage. You're a white person, you're a Brit, one of the greatest of all colonizers. There is good reason for saying you should stay silent. It's not up to us to be part of this debate. The only thing that I would say is that there are very few witnesses left. For me, the experience acted as a kind of aversion therapy.
the voice is fading a little bit.
I could unplug my headset and just turn the volume up.
What mic? Uh, the voice, it faded a little bit. Can you hear me, Simon? Amal. What was that? To Hassan. Simon. Can you hear me, Simon? Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me? Dat was... Die speakers maar.
السلام عليكم. السلام عليكم.
I think we have a technical issue. So, we would like to bring back the guest. If we don't, succeed, perhaps then we can discuss something else or close the space. But let's try. We're trying to bring him back.
السلام عليكم. نقرأ عليه هذا technical problem بأجله. السلام عليكم نقرأ لهذا حوغا technical problem بجرا دينا بروفيسوركا مركا اسكرا لهذا